Welcome to Yeshiva Daf, Shir sponsor Lui Nishvas, I'm Yaakov Shalom, and Leah Basitzchok. We're holding in Basra, Daf Nuntes. We reached the top of Amud Aleph. We got to go a few lines down in Amud Aleph. The Gemara says like this: What might you do on Shmuel? So 5 lines to the top. What might you do on Shmuel? Sinor hamikaleach mayim lechotzer. You have a pipe which is flowing water into the courtyard. So sinor hamikaleach mayim lechatzer chaveru, to his friend's chotzer. Ubaba lagag l'soisboy. Comes the owner of the roof that has this pipe, this gutter, bringing water into the chotzer. He's like, okay, I want to close it up. The owner of the chotzer can say, no, I don't want you to do it. The same way you have a kinyan to allow water to flow into my chotzer, I also get the right to take this water. We both have a kinyan.
Who wants it? Who's stopping?
Right now, the owner of the courtyard downstairs, he wants it. He wants it. Doesn't want to stop it. The owner upstairs wants to stop it. He says, 1 second. He says, you had the right to pour water into my chotzer. Why you had a water to do that? Because that was your chazakah. The same way you have a chazakah, I have a chazakah too. My chazakah is I'm benefiting. I'm getting rainwater going into my chotzer. I enjoy it. I use it for drinking. That's what it says. Idmar Rab Shaya Omar Me'akiv. Rab Shaya says you can stop him. Rab Chama Omar Eino Me'akiv. He says, no, you can't stop him. So they went and asked for Rabbi Bisu. Now, to understand this, here, Rabbi Shaya was a very chashuv person. As the Tosfos says, that he was compared to Rameir B'Doyer. He was one of the biggest chacham. Nobody understood what he was saying. He was a grandson. He said it's Me'akiv. They went to Rab Chama, his father, and he says, no, it's not Me'akiv. In other words, he's not able to Me'akiv. The owner of the chotzer cannot stop the guy of the roof to close it. How's the Shaila Rabbi Bisu? He went to the grandfather, Rabbi Bisu, Amalu Me'akiv. Koreli Rami Bar Chama. So Rami, the son of Chama, was the brother of Roshaya. Roshaya has a brother named Rami. Rami looks at what's going on over. He says, look, they're going to my brother to ask a question. Then they're going to my father, Chama, to ask a question. And then they're going to the grandfather to ask a question. You have the triple string, triple thread. Chutim Mishulash, Zerishaya. How will they translate Chutim Mishulash?
3-ply cord.
3-ply cord?
That is not easily severed.
So who is that? Lo Yimei Nothing is Rabbi Shaya, Rabbi Chamo, Rabbi Bisu. They all 3 are learning Torah over here. So first of all, this connects us back to the Gemara in Bava Daf Pehi. The Gemara there said, it says in the pasuk, Rabbi Bisu saw Ma Hashem, Ruchesh V'Lechosh Dvayish Sati V'Picho, Lo Yamushu V'Picho, Pizaracho, Pizar Zaracho, Me'atov Adar. It says 3 generations. So Gemara there learns, if Torah is in the family for 3 generations, Torah mechazeres achar achsan yeshalo. Torah goes after that family, it goes back to it. So the first prayer is the same idea. Chutam Mishul, you have 3 generations of Torah, that's a very good sign. So the Period asks, why doesn't it say the pasuk that the Gemara brings over there? Picho, Pizarach, Pizar Zarach. So he answers, this is when you'll do a Lu Agdama, which brought down many of the Sfarim, is that although there's a concept, if you have it for 3 generations, so the Torah mechazez achar achsan yeshalo, but the person needs to at least try to work, to learn. The person who tries to learn, because from a family of Tabli Chachamim, it will be able to go there. If not, as Reb Chaim Volozhiner brings a mashal. So a person who goes to the city, knocks on all the doors, and he says, please let me be your guest. The one who opens the door for him, he goes into it. The Torah is mechazez achar achsan yeshalo, goes after the family, knocks on the door. If you open the door, let it come in, it will come in. So that's what it says about Yado, that Chutim Mishulash is a tefillah, it's a davening. Tari to Hashem, please allow these Chutim Mishulash lo yinotik to continue forever. Says the Gemara, Sula Mitzri and the Chazak, we said that the ladder, the Egyptian ladder, which is a small ladder, it's not a Chazak. Hechidar Sula Mitzri, what does it mean? What's the definition of Sula Mitzri? One does not have 4 steps. So that is what's the right word in English?
Wrong.
4 rungs. So if it has less than 4, it's a small ladder, it's a chazaka. The Mishnah went on to say the Egyptian window doesn't have a chazaka. The Mishnah went on to say, what is an Egyptian window? A window that one cannot put his head through it. Says the Gemara, by a ladder, it doesn't tell you the Mishnah what is a ladder. By a window, it does tell you what it is. Because the end of the Mishnah, Buddha argues and says that if it has a malben, if it has a square, if it has the square around the window, so then it is a chazaka. So that's what we want to mention what it is. When you have a window below 4 amas, so then there is a chazaka by holding on there, and you can do a mecha. Now, in general, these two things go together. The chazaka is the one using it. The mecha is the owner. So if the one using has a chazaka, the owner can do a mecha. Has to do a mecha. What's the mecha? The mecha is, I want to be moiche, I want to come and protest the fact that you are in my place. Why are you doing a mecha? Because I don't do a mecha, you have a chazaka. So usually these things go together. I need to do a mecha because now you have a chazaka. So it says over here, below 4 amas there's a chazaka and there's a mecha. Why below 4 amas? Because below 4 amas, from the land you can see, look inside. You can see right into the window. Above 4 amas, above 4 amas there's no chazaka because you can't see anyway. So it's not a chazaka if you hold it. There's no mecha. You can't tell them to stop doing it because anyway you won't have a chazaka. Right? He holds above 4 amas, you don't have a chazaka, as we said before, but you still can do a mecha. You can still say, I don't want it to be there, even though there's no chazaka. Why? Because you can say, it bothers me that stairs, we'll see in a moment. It's not a chazaka, you can say, still I don't want it. Meaning, why would you say that even though I don't have no chazaka, you do a mecha? What's a mecha? Mecha means, I don't want you to do it. So Bishop, you tell me, if I'm not going to tell you not to do it, you'll hold on for 3 years, and then you'll say it's mine. So I understand why you're doing a mecha. But if anyway you have no chazaka, so why would you do a mecha? That's me, there's nothing. What do you care that I do it? So maybe that's the question. Can I force someone not to say no for no reason? The Marsova koifi or Marsova ain't koifi. Maybe that's shot. So look. The kula mo koifi. Everybody agrees you're koifi al midas doit. Shadi acho do malei zimnim the moisas shashifo tusach. Sometimes you put a small chair, small how do you say shashaf? It's like I forgot the word in English. Put it what? A step stool maybe. The kaimos, you stop at top of it. Kachazis, and you'll see through the window. So I thought I'd be this door. I don't want you to open a window. Why? Usually, right, the window's very high. Nobody can see through it anyway. But sometimes maybe you'll take a chair and you'll look into it. So I have a good time. It's not a midas day. Okay, before we go on, here comes the big machlekes Rashi Taisis. Which window, Rashbam Taisis, sorry. Which window are we talking about? If you look at the Rashbam says, we're talking about Chaloin Tsuri, not Chaloin Mitzri, the big window, not the small window. And if you look at in the end of the Ramatchil Lemala Midal Damas, the end of that Rashbam, it's basically the last 2 narrow lines or middle narrow lines of the Rashbam. It says Rashbam Dafka Chaloin Tsuri, the bigger window. Ava Chaloin Mitzri, the Egyptian window, Bein Milamala Midal Damas, Bein Milamato in the Chazaka. Here there's no mecha, no chazaka. We'll see in a moment. There's no, you're not using it for to look outside. It's just really he's not using it for light. He's just using it to be able to watch his garden. So there's no chazaka, there's no mechas over there by Mitzri, only by Tsuri. The whole discussion of the 4 hours is Tsuri. The Toises learns otherwise. If you look at Toises, the Matchilamata and Dalish Chazaka, the Toises, we will tell me Farish. Da'ai b'cholon mitzris, b'cholon tsuri, shasur lo ayro, shadavar kfir tzvil l'mal ma'am b'zish l'chazaka. So he says to talk about the window for the smaller window, not the bigger window. And here they have a summary of it in the Masifta, look at check inside. On the Rashbam, there's 11 questions. And on the Tez, there's 5 questions. So it's a big discussion over here. All the Rishonim are bothered by how to understand it through the Cheshbonis of the Sunnah. How does the Kabir Avami? This person came from Avami. Shai the Kabir Avami went to from Avami. But Memel, he says you should do like a Vilo, which is even at above 4 amas, you can do a Mechal. If it's made for light, even if it's a chaloin of a mitzri, if it's made for light, it's called a kvius. Because a person opens a window to have light come into the house, that stays there forever, and that is a chazaka. And the Rashbam explained, if not, it's meant just to watch the gardens, then it's not a chazaka. So the Mishnah, Haziz. What's Aziz? Aziz is a protruding piece of wood, a beam sticking out from the house. So Aziz at tefach is chazaka. Until tefach is a chazaka. In other words, if it is a tefach or more, so it's a chazaka. Because that means he bought the right to do it. And the owner could say, I don't want to have it.
You're talking about the owner of the beam has a chazaka that it's in his neighbor's property.
Yes. That means one day he
I can't just come and cut the beam there.
Exactly. And the flip side is, if he's there for less than 3 years, there's no shtar, he can do a mecha. Right? Mecha means to come to tiny base. I didn't let you do this. Pokas b'tefach, less than tefach, ein lo chazaka ve'ein yochel yichus. Less than tefach, that's like a normal sticking thing here. There's no chazaka. You can't say I have the right to do it. And there's no mecha. You can't tell me I don't want you to do it because it doesn't bother you. So it doesn't mean it's yours, but there's no mecha. So we'll see in the Gemara exactly. The Gemara is going to explain it a little bit more. Says the Gemara, Omar Abasi, Omar Amani, Ve'amli Omar Yaakov, Omar Amani. Ichzik b'tefach, ichzik b'dalet. If he hold on for 1 tefach, he hold on for dalet tefach. So when Mike called him, what is he saying? It doesn't make any sense. He had a chazaka for 1 tefach. Why should you have a chazaka for 4 tefach? So he says, Omar Abayach Chikomer. Ichzik roi chav tefach b'meshech arba'o. If he's holding on to 1 tefach, meaning a width of a tefach, on the length of 4, it's 4 tefachim protruding into the chatzar of the friend. But the beam itself is only 1 tefach wide. Why is that so? Because the idea is that the 4x4, that's the normal size of a beam. It's a 4x4. So if I have a 4x1, I'm assuming it was just right now. That's why I asked. I put 4x1, but really I meant to do 4x4. As well as Rashbam says, so and the Rashbam adds that what happens if he has a tefach at the length of 10 is also only 4. I never say the width will always be 4. That's the Baruch Hashuv and not more than that. Says the Gemara, the owner of the roof, regarding the owner of the chatzar below, he cannot do he can't do micha. Oh, so what does it mean he's doing micha? He's doing micha. Don't use the disease. I have a beam sticking out, and the owner down says, "Well, to use it." He says, "I don't want you to use it. It's mine, right?" So he says like this. So again, Ravuda says, "Ba'agag v'alachotz ke'adom micha." But ba'alachotz or ba'agag yochel limchus. Ba'alachotz could be moiche ba'agag and tell him, I don't want you to have this beam, right? The Rashbam explains to you a little bit. Ba'alachotz, we're talking about adding saying lachot to ba'alachotz. Ein yochel limchus boy. V'lo yimad ishtaj b'zichli, don't use my beam. T'ma'if seed ba'alagag. What does it care? When the whole chutzah will use it, he's not going to see him. Here he going to has a grill. If he was shooting a mal and how he's using it, we're not worried about that. In other words, he has no chazaka, so the owner of the chutzah can always cut the beam. Because you know what, I like to cut the beam, I'm going to use it sometimes. If you don't like that, let's cut it. So that's what he says. In other words, that's what he says. He brings another pshat. Okay, so what did he say? He's saying the balagag can tell the balagag can't tell balachotza, don't use my mazis. The owner of the chotzer can tell the balagag, I don't want you to be using this beam. Even the balachotza can tell the balagag, don't touch it. So what's the machlekes? Later, basically, machlekes is agree. Because what's the problem? The owner of the beam is going to go out to the beam. When he's going in the beam, he's going to look inside the chotzer of his friend, sticking out.
If he has access to use it.
Yes. So that's why the one understands. According to Rav Huna, there's no problem with his agree. So you can't tell me don't look there. So you can't tell me not to use it. But according to according to Rav Yudah, I have a taina. According to Rav Huna, I could because it has agree. So that's what it says. The master of Shvei Yezik, master of Shvei Yezik. It's going to look. The Kula Almo Shvei Yezik. Everybody agrees this Yezik. Shani Ochodom Alei L'Teshvishasoy L'Chozi. It's not right to really use it. It's not a porch. The only thing you can do there, just to hang something. You don't want me to look towards the chutz. I won't look. And the Rashbam adds, if he's going to look, it's going to be very apparent that he's doing something wrong. Like staring at someone else's chutz. What are you doing here? You're on my beam, and you're looking into my place. It's inappropriate. So therefore he says, I'm not going to look, and no, I'm not going to want to look. Another one says, 1 second. Sometimes he's going to be scared, he's going to be on the beam, and he's going to be about to fall, so he's going to catch on to something, and then he's going to be looking down, he's not going to look bad. And nobody's going to have any tightness there because he's about to fall. So in other words, if you're there and you're using it, you may have as agree. So and they all agree as agree is a problem. The question is, do I have an excuse? I don't have as agree in this case. Okay. So, Zog the Mishnah. A person should not open his windows to the chotzer of the shutim. We'll see in the Gemara that the maskana of the Gemara, at least, it's in the discussion that we're showing, what was the Havamina? The maskana is that this chotzer shutim, he is one of the partners. Don't open a window to a chotzer where you are a partner. You own the chotzer. You're one of the owners. Don't open a window to them. Lakach buys b'chotzer. He bought a house in this chotzer. Chotzer right next door. You should not open the door into the chotzer which he is a partner. But now he built a second floor in his house. Should not open it up to chotzer shutfim. Why? Because he's adding more people. If he wants to, in other words, so I don't want you to build a roof and have another access, another door to go out. But he can build a room, an indoor room, an annex to the house. The one understands right now it's an extension. Or you build a second floor. But the entrance will be for the same door. So to build your house, you build the second floor with its own door, too many people. But if I'm adding a second floor and letting people to go for the second floor down through the door, that's fine. The most ask why? You're still adding more people. Who cares if they're using 2 doors or 1 door? So here, as it comes out from the Rashbam, it says, according to some, the Gemara now understands, we're not talking about chotzer shutuf, doesn't mean his shutuf. I mean, don't open a door to a chotzer that belongs to partners. So one understands why should partners be different than an individual? Because partners, you have more people, you're affecting more people. So well, that's not true. Even if you affect 1 person, you're not allowed to open a window. Says the Gemara, lo yibayko. Lo yibay l'chotzer chaveiro deloi. Don't open to one guy. Aval chotzer shutfim, that he's a shutuf. You anyway have to hide yourself from me. I mean, you can do something of tznius in the chotzer because I grabbed it the whole time. So now I'm opening a window. Who cares? It says, Kamash Valan, the Omelea, the Indo, Bechotzer, Bein Etznuim Minoch, Hash Tafil Babais, Nami, Bein Etznuim Minoch. Until now, when in the chutzner, I have to be tzanua, not in the house. Now here also the discussion that we're showing. House, whose house? The simple understanding means, as Rajman points out, that when the one who's opening the window is in the house. Let's call it, you have two partners, Reuben and Shimon. Reuben wants to open a new window into the chutzner. Shimon tells him, Reuben, before, when you were outdoors, so then I had to cover myself. But when you went to the house, it was a party. I could do whatever I want. Now you open the window, so I have to cover myself even when you're in the house. That bothers me. That's one way the Rishonim learned. The other way, the Rishbam Biggs doesn't like this. Shati says that when you were in the chutzner and I was in the chutzner, so then I had to cover myself here. But now that you're in the house and there's a window in the house, you're able to look now into the chutzner, you're able to look into the house as well. Because from the house, it's a higher window, you can look into the house. The Rishbam doesn't like that because we say, we learn later, the next daf, that the windows don't face each other. So it goes back to the first shot. The idea is when you are in the house, you have to cover yourself from here. The one is not, sorry, that's the Tosis. The Tosis doesn't like the Shabbat because of that reason. Says the Gemara, so what the Maskov of the Gemara is, we talk about somebody, he's a partner in the chutzner, and now he wants to open into that same chutzner. He opened a window to chutzner shofim. He was a partner. He says, you hold as a chazaka. It's a good chazaka. And the Rishbam adds that he holds the chazakas immediately. Because this goes back to when we begin with Chazak earlier Chazak that they hold the befana was chazaka right away. You did it in front of him, he didn't say a word, that's chazaka right away. You worked hard to open your windows. You have to go close it. Because it's not a chazaka until 3 years. But look at this chazaka immediately or after 3 years. Omar Nachman, when I've samach amud alef. V'listoim le'al te'av chazaka. Shein adam asui shesois v'oyer yefora v'shoisek. If someone has a window and the other person goes and closes his window, the chazaka is immediate. If you didn't right away say, what are you doing with my window? So you don't wait a year. Because in the fact, the person is not going to allow someone to close his window and be silent. Okay, let's go here to the Mishnah. If he has another house in another chutzner, should not open it up to this chutzner of the shofim. My time, if I have another house, I have more people. So, in other words, I'm making here it becomes much more crowded. Ema Sefer, look at the next part. If he wants, he can add another room with extension, or he builds a second floor. Says, you're still adding more people.
What's the issue with the people?
Meaning, I'm adding, the chutzner right now has 20 people. Now I'm adding another house, so another 25 people. It makes it much more crowded in the chutzner. We don't want to have a... No, privacy is also. But here, the issue over here of this chazaka is, he's marba nichnasi v'yotzim. It's making it more crowded. A lot of people here. We didn't want somebody to be, right? You know, the Rashbam maybe more reduced to what he's saying. Because Rashbam adds, it was quieter. It was, it became a little crowded, makes a problem. So he said, okay, he says, but if you add another room in your house, or you add a second floor, then it's okay. So why is it okay? Say problem. Says the Gemara, Amar Vahuno, my cheder shechilko b'shtayim, my aliyah aftoy. Meaning, without talking that he did an extension to the house. But he had a big room, and he put a wall in between. Now, before it was one big room. So, one big room, usually one family lives in it, not two families. He makes it cut into it. He subdivided it. You can't come with me at Titus and say, I have more people in the house. I have the right. I didn't add anything to the house. I can fill the house as many people I want. I decide to put a wall. I have a title against me. No, you don't have a title. Says the Gemara, similarly, we talk about the second floor. The second floor, we talk about, he didn't build the second floor. He just he had a big floor, and he split it in the middle with a floor in the middle. Now this is a little hard to understand, because you can't fill it up with people flying in the air. when the room is divided into two. So say I putting a wall and not putting a wall. Why should that make a difference for you? But here, when I have a very nice big house and I'm putting inside a wall in the middle, yeah, you may hear more space for people to live. But the answer is yes, but I can do inside my four walls whatever I want. So that right, so he says. So therefore, we're saying that as the Rishbam ends, you can't tell me I can't fill up the house any way I want. I want to put people high sticks to go. So I'm allowed to do it. So therefore, that's what it means. If I add a second floor or a room in the existing house, I subdivided it, then there's no taino, then I can do it. The Gomer, stop over here.